Do you really believe what you're saying? Do you really believe colored people in this country are willing to sacrifice any potential? Of which, look, I think the colored community is really suffering and struggling, and they've been forgotten even by this new government. Do you really think they see themselves as on the same level as Black Africans?
No.
And they're willing to struggle and fight for them?
No. I'm saying by the time when Ashley Kriel was killed, by the time when Anton French was killed, by the time when Neville Alexander was in prison, by the time that the Etlon massacre happened, they were willing to do that. But you must understand, which brings me to later I'll answer about this K word. You must understand, when you talk about colored people, you talk about a beaten down people. A beaten down people. A people that were so active in the struggle that they are now saying we were not white enough during apartheid. We are not black enough. There's some anger that has manifested over 3 decades. I see it in my community. And that anger manifests itself in racism, in deep hate, in deep disappointment. And I'm not making excuse for colored people. But you know, colored people did vote for the government of Nelson Mandela. And when they realized this government is doing nothing for them, they then went to the Western Cape, the DA. The majority of the DA voters are colored people.
That's correct.
And then the DA did the very same thing that the ANC is doing to them. And what did they do? They said, now we're going to vote PA.
You are black, but you hate yourself, Gayton McKenzie. You hate your mother, Gayton McKenzie. You hate your friends, Gayton McKenzie. And now he's talking about, no, some tweets were generated AI, and I was trolling. It was back in the day. That's how Twitter used to be. Twitter was like that back in the day. Gayton McKenzie, you should be fired as of this week. You should be fired as of this week. We now know who you truly are. We now know who you truly are. You should be fired as of this week. Cyril Ramaphosa has to put you down. There's no way in hell is a minister of my country gonna be racist under my watch. I will make a video about you every other week until you are removed from your position as minister in South Africa, because there's no way in hell. You never liked us, Gayton McKenzie. You never liked us. Those tweets are despicable. Those tweets are despicable. If you didn't see those tweets, they are despicable. How dare you, Gayton McKenzie? You're trying to destroy 2 young black brothers for making a couple of jokes. Come to find out, you're one of the most racist people in this country? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I need you out of your position. You never liked black people. You never fucked with us to begin with. And your people, these colored people, they show their true colors too. There's people who's out here trying to stand by Gayton McKenzie, trying to make excuses. No, Gayton McKenzie, you are a racist piece of shit. Let's call it what it is. You are a racist piece of shit.
But they can learn from it. For me, a red flag with Gayton McKenzie is, I remember when he was running for elections or whatever. Yeah. He'd always respond to us. Remember, Dudu, when we reached out to him to come on the pod and whatever, and he came, we had a beautiful episode.
Yeah, remember, yeah.
Yeah, then he got into parliament, then he became a minister, and then we tried to reach out to him again for him to come back, and, you know, especially when he started doing that thing of releasing those COVID things.
Yeah, the funding.
Yeah, we're like, oh, fuck, this is dope. We got to get Gayton on, you know, to see what else is he going to do. Because he started off so nicely. After that, bro, he started blue-ticking us when he got into parliament.
Oh, wow.
You understand? For me, I told you that I'm like, that's a red flag, man.
It is.
Like, for me, it just shows this guy's got no backbone.
Exactly.
He's always just riding on whatever's trending.
Yeah.
And he's always just bandwagon. He jumps on the bandwagon of whatever's happening. You know what I mean? But he stands for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It stands for nothing, though.
You understand what I'm saying? But for me, when I look at this holistically and I see the bigger picture, for me, this just highlights the fight between old media and new media, right? And when I talk about old media, I'm talking about, you know, newspapers, radio, TV.
Traditional.
Stuff,
yeah.
And the new media, it's podcasts, it's content creators, stuff that lives digitally. And you can see that there's a lot of layers, right? But the first layer is you can see that government is not happy with the podcasting space. And at every chance they get, they want to devalue it and they want to shut it down because they can't control it. Right?
Yeah.
And anything that the government can't control, they see it as a threat. You understand what I'm saying? So at every point, if you check, bro, like on Twitter, people are getting cancelled all the time. Every week, someone's getting cancelled.
Yeah.
But when it's a podcaster, fucking hell,
they-
bro.
wow.
It's on the news.
How?
It's on radio.
Balula, you
it's
saw Balula
everywhere.
tweeting and the ANC there.
Yes,
Balula saying the
yes,
podcast there.
yes.
I was like, how, guys, come
Yes.
on.
You understand what I'm saying? But serious things, when General Mkwanyanzi is here dropping fast, everyone's quiet.
Oh, it's quiet.
Yeah.
Oh.
On serious things,
There's no
Right,
Steve from Department of Women, Deputy Minister of Department of Women and
Here,
Kids.
these
and
poor kids,
Disabilities.
they've got an audience, they're catering to their audience, they're speaking to their audience, and yes, they made a mistake like we all do, but
So, hey guys, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I only point out facts here. So, here goes. Like, Gayton McKenzie looks like a natural born code switcher. This guy, now all of a sudden, he's claiming blackness. Like, after all that, uncovering his tweets, him saying the K word and all that, now he's like, I'm black. And now he's speaking Sotho. And now he's assimilating himself with black culture. Like, this reminds me of Drake's character in a way. I don't know if you guys realize this. Drake is a natural code switcher. Like, he will assimilate himself to every other culture, just to be popular in that culture. You know what I'm saying? So this looks like that kind of situation. If you guys understand what I'm saying, but
What Gayton McKenzie did is a tale as old as time, utilizing xenophobia as a political tool to get in the good graces of citizens. And in this situation, he used xenophobia and anti-blackness against black immigrants as a way to get in the good graces of black South Africans. But I need black South Africans and just black Africans in general to be very careful whose words they let fall into their ears. Because how can a person like Gayton McKenzie tell you that he can identify an illegal immigrant by the way they smell and look, knowing that those people look like you, even though you don't want to hear it sometimes? They look like you, and you think he doesn't have the same sentiments about you. Or again, there is one of his tweets where he says that Kenyan women, Congolese women, Nigerian women resemble apes. Knowing that those are women of Bantu descent for the most part, and you have the same genetic traits as those women, and you don't think he has the same sentiments about you. And the conversation about the colored community and anti-blackness is not separate, but a conversation of its own. But I really want Africans to be careful about the way that politicians weaponize internalized anti-blackness to get your votes, even though they don't care about you and they don't like you.
So we weren't crazy when we said, this man is not fit to be a minister, because he also said it.
Because firstly, we believe and we know, myself and Kenny and Julius are not the right people to govern this country. That's what I'm saying. We know for a fact that we are not the right people. Hence, at Patriotic Alliance, what we've done, we don't appear in any list to go to Parliament, although I'm eligible and Kenny Kunene is eligible to go to Parliament. But we understand that cadre deployment is not working. We understand that there are more qualified people that can do the work. Hence, you would never find us on our list. We are only, Patriotic Alliance is only birthed out of the expertise that we have to bring we got a certain skill set to bring people together with the right skill sets. And that's what we are doing.
Let me start by saying this. In the history of political parties in this country, I've never seen the president of a political party and his deputy finding themselves in hot water at the same time. It has never happened. Now, this kind of thing can only happen in a political party where there are either no structures or structures are not working. So, trying to redeem himself, Gayton McKenzie was on Penuel's podcast, 4 things he said to Penuel that I want to look at. 1. Gayton McKenzie says when Jan van Riebeeck arrived in South Africa, the first group of people he encountered was colored people. A mere Google search tells us that the first group of people Jan van Riebeeck encountered when he arrived in South Africa was Khoi people. Therefore, I wonder how Gayton arrived at that conclusion, and I'm interested to know. Secondly, Gayton McKenzie says he's not a fan of unions. I'll tell you this, if I was a voter of the Patriotic Alliance, employed in a company where the employer is abusive, I'd be very worried. Thirdly, Gayton McKenzie says the colored community is regarded as black in South Africa, but not Africans, which is a sound argument if you ask me. But Gayton has no excuse to keep on shouting and screaming about this because Gayton is in the executive. Gayton sits next to President Ramaphosa during executive meetings. Therefore, Gayton has all the power in the world to raise these issues in the executive meetings to ensure that there are changes. Instead, Gayton McKenzie is all over the place singing praises of Cyril Ramaphosa and the government of national unity, but complains about the same government he is a minister of when he is in podcasts. Lastly, Gayton says he is a member of the committee that decided that the national dialogue would cost 700 million rands. Do you know what's funny? One of the mandates of the portfolio that Gayton McKenzie is holding is to promote social cohesion and facilitate nation building. It says here that this includes planned community dialogue platforms to encourage active citizen participation. Meaning, we actually don't need to spend a penny as a country organized by President Cyril Ramaphosa when Gayton McKenzie's department is there to do that. Let me conclude by saying this. There are a number of people in this country praising Gayton McKenzie. These people say Gayton McKenzie is doing a good job in his portfolio. I'll tell you this, I don't know the heck these people are talking about because as someone who lives in rural areas, I have never seen this good job that people are talking about trickle down to an ordinary citizen who lives in rural areas.
Yeah, by the way, so Congress must not be confused by this, that which they see here. This is the logo of my foundation, Alpha Hardebe Foundation, so I was just doing some work today. And then I was just doing a bit of a recap on the podcast, Yaga Penuel, where he was going through a list of 25 questions, where he was asking Gayton. Gayton is saying that these kids said those things because it's a norm. So he's generalizing. So what he basically says is that all black people are having a similar view of the colored community, overlooking the fact that, all of us as human beings were subject to error. There are tweets that have resurfaced of Gayton using the K word like it was going out of fashion. So in other words, it's safe for me to confirm now with Gayton and say that, so it's a norm for the K word to be used randomly despite of the examples that you're trying to make or the message you're trying to get across. And we must listen to the nonsense and the rubbish that he believes in consequence. He does not believe in the cancel culture. He thinks that he can use cheap articulation to try and get the point across. Ramaphosa mina angazwisa abantu le pari. Yabo angazwisa abantu le pari le because of mina in my view. Honestly speaking, Gayton is a mohumu clever khese. Yabo. So maybe Ramaphosa is scared that this guy, because he's a former gay, he's a gangster, former inmate, and then he will cause problems because he's saying to him that he said, I called out those people. Yeah, one of the one that worries me the most is when he says, I called out those people. Who are those people that wanted to go and traumatize those poor young people? And then he goes, he flexes his muscles because of crown that he can go around and apply in his own words consequence. I so despise the leadership style of this guy. I don't know who he thinks he is. I don't know what he thinks he is. Just sitting down a podcast like, the guy just, gee whiz. Like Gayton McKenzie. Jeez, man, I used to see this guy from a distance, and just allow him to be him because, he is who he is. But now that he possessed this critical role, in a ministerial position and leadership, for me, and I can safely say, Uguti, come on, man. There's difference between leadership and leadership. I can simply say, because I'm not in a regale of my organization, this is just me, so people can come here and say this and say that. There's a difference between leadership and leadership, and I think Gayton is leadership.
I want you to listen to the statement of Gayton McKenzie. Then tell me what you think of it, because when I view it myself, I think Gayton McKenzie is trying to tell us that he still has some sort of proximity to criminals. Let's listen together.
Now, this is deeper. This is deeper than just what transpired between us and them. These kids don't know that in every race there's some people that takes things out of their hands. People didn't see the call that was like, can somebody give us the address of those kids? Where does these kids go? And I was the one that called those people. I said, no, don't do that. I'm handling this. But people don't see that. Those kids don't know who they're messing with. Not in me, but every race there's people that will take anything.
Then tell me something, guys. If a minister can say something like this, he called criminals and tell them that no, guys, don't do it. There are people that act out of character. Number one, why does the minister have numbers of people who act out of character? Why did the minister call them? You understand? Did he report them to police? Because if you don't report something that might lead to crime, it makes you an accomplice. Like, guys, what's happening here? What's happening? Because now you're tempting us to believe what Sina was saying. Or to minister of what, that I'm not going to say now here. But I don't know. It's your choice to decide, guys. But I think, we're in a national state of disaster. With Gayton.
How so-called black people, they identify themselves as black, so I'll call them black. Black people they feel like, in my view, in our organization's view, they feel like they are protected by a majority vote in South Africa, so they can say and do what they please. And this goes back to the fact that we need to deal with identity issues in terms of South Africa is a non-racial society, first of all. The Constitution says this republic is a non-racial society.
But do you think we really are?
Well, it's supposed to be. Now, the biggest issue is the black majority achieves their goal of sidelining brown interests, and I'm saying brown for the purposes of the conversation, by ensuring that we don't get to deal with issues of the land. We are all black. When are we all black? When it suits them. When are we white? When it suits the white person. That's when we're white and when we are black. So we need to get to the bottom of racism, and in order to do that, we need to deal with identity politics. We need to understand, who are these people? Why are they being treated the way they are being treated? Why do people feel comfortable enough to say certain things about them and not expect that there will be consequences to it? So this is the reason why I made the point in the beginning. They have now gone out by legal advice and apologized, and black people feel that it is now, okay, leave them, these are youngsters, they made a mistake, they're apologetic. But yet people now look at so-called colored people in a particular way. The damage has been done. It's the same instance if you look at murder, for example, because this is how we feel. Those that are not affected by it, that are not injured by it, are fine. But those who are injured by what has been done, we've decided that we are going to make a legal, public and painful example of people who think they can provoke us. And it's not about, it's not racism. It's about the fact that people feel comfortable enough to say whatever they want to say about us and expect that they are not going to retaliate.
Gray, maar weet, Gayton sê daar is 'n dubbele standaard, dat daar 'n groter boei